Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Maybe Movies, the podcast. This is a re-edit of our second episode, which originally aired on the 20th of August 2020, and sees Sam and I discussing what would happen if Sam, Michael, and Lucy Emerson from The Lost Boys were dropped into the plot of The Karate Kid. The original version of this was my first attempt at editing anything ever, and I don't mind admitting that I made a bit of a pig's ear of it at the time, and as I don't have those original audios anymore, I've had to edit and clean this up as best I can from the audio that went out on the episode itself. So I've done the best I can here to clean this up, and it wasn't easy because even with what I've learned over the past couple of years, the original audio was in such a sorry state that there's only so much that you can do. There was quite a few places where the audio was peaking quite a bit, and I've done my best to cut around those. There's a few places where I couldn't because what was being said was too pertinent to the discussion, and so I've had to leave those in. Although there is a few other places where, purely for the sake of mischief, I've replaced the peak audio with some stock audio, just to give you a sense of what was going on at the time. I would also like to say a huge thank you to our longtime friend and collaborator, Dean Evans from Billion Bytes, who has given my re-edited audio a once-over and a clean-up himself. Thank you, buddy. I wouldn't have been happy putting this out without your help. So please do sit back, relax, enjoy episode 2 of Maybe Movies, the podcast, and I'll be back at the end with a few parting words.
Maybe Movies!
We pretty much settled that that is a movie. We can do something with that.
Yes, we could definitely do something about this.
Cool, okay, so we've got the other half to look at now.
Of course, the Karate Kid.
Yes, but before we do, I know we haven't finished with his characters, but we've certainly finished, as it were, with his movie.
Yeah.
So this seems to be an appropriate moment to raise our glasses to the memory of Joel Schumacher.
Schumacher.
Thank you much for one of the best movies of the 80s. You gotta drink, man. It's bad luck if you don't drink.
I'm drinking.
Karate Kid.
Well, I've been thinking about this. Like, at the beginning, I thought, that's going to be easy.
I told you.
I've had some time to mull over in my thoughts, and actually, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it's one where we have to take a degree of license with it. But,
yeah.
But I think it balances out. I think the license we have to take with it is equally reflected with the license that we have to take with the Lost Boys. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's because it is literally the opposite problem, isn't it? I mean, Karate Kid's got a lovely linear story because it's got one lead character.
Exactly.
Now we've got 2 lead characters, and suddenly we have to make sense of this story.
Yeah, it's. As we've said earlier, there will be spoilers. So, yeah. So if you haven't seen this film, and again, we are looking at the original Karate Kid from 1984 with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita, Miyagi, not the remake with Jackie Chan.
I haven't even seen that.
No, I haven't.
It's a bit embarrassing. Just never quite got right. I've seen a couple of scenes of it in passing, but
How did it look from what you saw?
not enough to tell.
Okay.
But it was a very different style.
Right.
It was a part of a training montage, and it was very different from how it happens
In the original.
Yeah, it's very clearly being taught a different technique.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
because I'm assuming he's being taught Kung Fu, not karate.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But like I said, I only saw a little tiny bit.
Well, so what about that?
That's sorry.
Yeah, that's for another day. Yes,
Yeah.
from the beginning, I guess.
Mm.
So we've got Lucy, as we established last time, as we very much established,
And Sam and Michael.
and Michael.
No.
And they've left Phoenix and they're moving to this place which was called
Reseda.
It's a Reseda, but the apartment block they call it, they moved to, is called South Seas,
Oh, well remembered.
with the amazing swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those ones. It's easy to see how that part of the scene plays out because, like, that kind of reflects Sam's disappointment of discovering that he's in a house with no TV. He's now in an apartment complex with a really ratty swimming pool.
Yes.
It reflects the same moment.
He's certainly a lot more. He's certainly a lot more stylish, I'd say, than Daniel. He's certainly a lot more conscious of his appearance than Daniel.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this, and actually in the Karate Kid, Daniel really dresses in a way that would complement him with Frog Brothers quite well.
Absolutely.
I suppose I hadn't considered before, but yeah, he would fit in with them quite well dressed wise.
Yeah,
But yeah, Sam's a different beast, isn't he?
definitely. And again, as we touched on earlier as well, the whole thing with, well, certainly within the context of the film he's coming from, he shows nothing apart from like a passing consideration of girls.
Yeah, that's one of the really troublesome things about the whole story is kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But it's like, does Sam do girls, or is he at that age where he is interested in girls? I mean,
See, I think narratively there is a way around that, which we'll come to.
Yeah,
which I thought which would allow us to figure that into it. I mean, we could go on to it now because it's pretty early on when we established that.
it's pretty quickly established. But yeah, I mean,
I get it, but certainly if you want to go, right back to the very start of it.
of course, sorry, yes, yeah.
I suppose then instead we would see a little shot of them leaving their old left in Phoenix.
Yes, I imagine that would be an interesting.
There would be, yeah,
interesting
because we don't see anything of that. But certainly, even the journey, the montage of the journey of them traveling to California would be completely different because there's certainly a lot more. As a family, they're a lot more vocal. If you take the introduction to
With the singing and
all that kind of thing. So even that gives you. There's a lot more hopefulness for the future in that initial journey.
Yeah.
Which is nice because with what's to come, there's a lovely juxtaposition there, and it really highlights how bad things get when they get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a weird thing to say in a film that doesn't have vampires in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is the thing. The more I think about it, the more I think as a family, they'll get put through the ringer in the plot of the Karate Kid in many ways, as much as, if not more than, Daniel does in the Lost Boys plot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll see when we get to it. Because I don't know. I don't know what you do, but But yeah, that I imagine this plays out very similar to almost the scene when they arrive at Grandpa's in Lost Boys. That Sam's the one who's going to be disappointed, where Michael is going like, "Come on."
Yeah, we hate it, we won't do with it, and we get on. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a starting point, as it were.
Yeah,
definitely. And again, that works quite well, because it's the disappointment, as you said, there is mirrored equally.
Yeah, you see, this is where I have to ask a question, because this is where we have to maybe start tinkering with people's characters. Sam, as we know him, is a fashionista, comic book freak. So, how does he meet Freddy?
Well,
in the Karate Kid, Daniel karate kicks the door, get the gate open, smacks dead Freddy in the face, and that's how they meet.
That meeting would be slightly different because you would have to kind of lose that impact of it, where you could possibly have Sam backing his way through the door, pushing it open, then Freddy pulling the other way.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as he just sees the door opening slowly and he takes it open and goes, "Oh, hey, there you go."
Could be.
You could even reverse that if you still wanted that.
Of course, it could be Michael bringing in his bike and be like, "Cool, Mike, dude." I mean, because the important thing is that they meet Freddy, right?
Yeah, that is the important thing. I mean, the other way to do it, if you wanted to make it a bit more comedic, as I said, Sam's backing through the door with the thing. Freddy opens the door and he's over on his ass.
Yes, and then he would have them up and the conversation would ensue.
Yeah.
The other way around, but yeah.
The other thing to remember as well is Freddy will be a little bit older than Sam.
Yes, he will be a year or two.
Yes. But then again, I think we said earlier that we were pretty happy that Sam and Daniel are about the same age.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's a difficult one because we'll never know.
Yeah.
Which is pretty. All of that is pretty straightforward because it then goes to them, and then whatever around the house, that doesn't really change. Or around the apartment, just cheek it a bit with crazy old woman sat down on the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
But then you get the invite to the beach party, which go out to Sam, or Michael may even be there as well. Or
does that mean we have a crazy New Jersey lady claiming she's from Phoenix?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that.
Yeah. Sorry, this will just stop me dead for a minute there. Yeah, I could just see that in my head. Yeah, definitely. All of that runs pretty much the same. I suppose the question is, are we then working on the idea that Lucy has gone there for a job in the same way that Lucy does in the original?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Because she's not moving fastly, so she needs a reason to move.
Yeah. So from there, it's pretty much that would play out as normal. I'm assuming it's Sam who goes to ask Mr. Miyagi to come and fix the faucet.
Yes. I think it almost absolutely has to happen.
Why did I say faucet? We're in England. The taps. Yeah, we will go with what's in the context of the film. So faucet is.
Yeah.
And sidewalk and
that's because I especially imagine because Sam is sort of kind of a little bit pseudo-cynical and, looking at everything with a wry look on his face.
Yes.
And I just imagine his reaction to Mr. Miyagi trying to catch the damn flies just being that much more extreme than anything Michael would give as a response.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think for the comedy of the moment, I think it has
Yes.
so.
Then, as far as I remember, takes us pretty much straight into the beach.
Yes. Now, this is where it all starts to get horribly complicated in my head. And the question is, who's actually going after the girl? Because almost by instinct, I would go, well, Michael. He's the older character. He's clearly interested in girls. We know this about his character from The Lost Boys. But then that suddenly makes so much of the dynamic going through the story just go woof.
And I have thought about this, which I think will explain that away. I think. First of all, the whole bit at the beginning when they're playing football on the beach, things like that. If they're both there, I could see Michael getting in and doing that. So again, there's a nice.
He'd be sitting to one side with a pair of sunglasses and a long coat on.
If it's that nice, he might gonna do a bit of sunbathing, but that's about it.
Maybe roll up his jeans up to his calves or something.
Again, if you wanted to have it as a nod in the film itself, you could have him reading a horror comic.
Yes. Well, this is the thing. I don't think we could take away his comicness.
No.
I think that's an essential part of Sam's character. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that plays out in the story exactly, but it's kind of essential to his nature, isn't it? So yeah, have him read his comics.
My thoughts with regards to who's going after the girl.
Yeah.
You could do it. You could play it. Sorry for having watched too much bad writing advice. You could include a love triangle, but only as a hook into the rest of the story.
Yeah, it wouldn't serve any greater purpose. It would just be a bit of drama.
Yeah, you could have. I forgot the name. I know it's
Ali with an eye.
Ali with an eye, of course it is. Ali with an eye with her friends, and Michael spots her
Yes.
straight away because he would.
Yeah, of course.
But she spots Sam.
Okay.
Okay. She likes pretty boys. Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Maybe Michael's a bit too rugged for her.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, which is an interesting one. Which again brings in quite a nice narrative one because then Michael will see this.
Yeah.
And think, I can play the big brother here and keep an eye on Sam through his first interaction with girls.
Okay. All right.
It
Yeah,
keeps.
I think he would do that. He is a pretty caring person. I think.
Yeah, and the brothers have that dynamic. We see that in the film.
Yeah.
So they do look out for one another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which then brings us into your rival Johnny and his friend.
Yes.
This is where it gets difficult because it's obvious again Daniel does the thing because he's the only one there and that's who he is.
Yeah.
We've got no basis we've got very little to work on to see how Sam would react in that situation. Because in the last boys it's slightly different, it's slightly larger than life.
Yeah.
And his general reaction in that is just until something happens. Until towards the end of the film.
See, I don't know. I'd see Sam picking up the stereo. I don't think he would see it as an aggressive act. He would be just like, I'm just picking up the stereo. It's her stereo.
That's fair.
Because I think, yeah.
I see that conversation between the two of them on the beach.
Yeah.
At night being about how great his coat
Yeah, it would have to be something like that. But I can see him doing it, but not as an act of aggression, not as a provocation.
No, just as a gesture. Yeah.
Hey, it's your stereo.
Yeah.
Hey, it's your stereo.
But then he takes it further.
Yeah.
Where is Michael at this point?
Well,
Has Michael left possibly at this point because he sees the two of them getting on?
you see, this is I see Sam getting a good
kick. Kicking, yes.
and Michael jumping in.
Okay. So again, the protective brother thing, but doesn't want to
Because
doesn't want to.
you look at Michael's behaviour on the beach when he's provoked and he just lays into David.
Yeah, true.
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense a lot because that would also play into the thing about him not, wanting to give that kind of older brother look out for Sam.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to step in straight away and do anything. It's his fight. He wants to let him fight his own fights.
Yeah.
But when he sees that it's gone beyond his ability to control, that's when he jumps in.
Yeah.
Perfect. That works. That would be an interesting part because again, at the time, Jesse Patchell was a pretty big guy. Certainly even bigger than Johnny.
Oh yes.
Completely different styles. So you'd probably just go more like I would imagine more like a street fight.
Yeah, just like a straight up brawl kind of
Yeah,
thing.
brawl. The fight will last a bit longer.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
And the same way.
yeah, simply because of John's training.
Yeah.
And also, if needs be, one of the other two might have to jump in and help him.
That's also occurred to me. Yeah. Might not be. We said this to be a fair fight.
Exactly.
There's nothing about this situation.
Well, I guess I did the Cobra Kai, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which again is an interesting point, which is a good opportunity to bring in another layer of conflict that's more directed at Mike or one of the others, possibly.
Yeah.
Because there are several other characters that they're like nascent characters. They're there and they have stuff to do within the film, but they never get developed too much further. So again, to a certain degree, we can allow for that to keep the thing together as it cohesively. Because you've got there's the guy with the blonde hair on there who's isn't that Stephen Queen's son? That's him, isn't it?
Is that Stephen Prince?
One of it is, yeah.
You talk about Dutch.
Yes.
The one with the blonde eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you've got the other guy as well, whose character is called Bobby Brown, isn't he? Who's the one who apologises at the end
Of course.
after he sweeps his leg.
Oh yes.
And he goes, I'm sorry, I didn't want to.
I know his name's Bobby. I don't know. I didn't catch his last name. I never.
Yeah. I must admit, I did look that one. I did go and look up.
Right.
And it's Bobby Brown.
Okay. Oh right. Interesting.
So yes, so there are these characters, which again, I'm not saying that we should make them into fully fleshed antagonists, but there's a certain amount of wiggle room to give them a bit more stuff to do in the film
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
to create the necessary conflict, because we're gonna kind of have to slightly construct a storyline for Michael.
Yes. You see, I have had a bit of a feel on this, but I don't know if it works or not. I really can't tell if it works or not. I can't help but feel that Mike would actually end up joining Code Kai.
I can see that.
Obviously, not straight away. But I feel like he needs to belong.
He does need to belong. He does, definitely, and it would be a good way to do it. It's a very good way to do it. Yeah, I like it.
Obviously, we're jumping ahead, but when in the original movie, of course, when Daniel goes to the dojo, realizes who's there, he slinks off. But I've just got a feeling Michael might stick around. And
We'll come back to that.
yeah, we'll come back to it. I don't know if it works or not. I really don't. But
it gives him a bit of time to sit and
it really gives something interesting to the ending.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Oddly enough, that is, if we're thinking the same thing, which I think we are, it's something that I had considered as well.
Okay, right, yeah.
So,
yeah, okay, cool. But anyway, yeah, so beach party.
That happens.
Fight happens, yeah.
Yeah. They then leave.
Yeah.
And it all breaks up as it does.
It all breaks up. And
again, this is the other thing which you have to consider with these characters, which we don't see in The Lost Boys, is then when they go to school.
Yeah, they do actually have school scenes, don't they?
Yeah, quite a few. Although there's no actual classroom scenes, it's just on school grounds.
Yeah.
Or the closest you get is on the when they're doing sport.
Yeah, that's the only real lesson time that you see. Is that, the rest of it's just wandering around.
Which does bring in the question, because it's never implicit in the film, in the original, are Johnny and Danny supposed to be in the same year? Because Johnny always looks older, so I'm always imagining he's in
this is one of those things that confuses me, because honestly, they do look older, and they do feel like they should be in a different year.
Because he does say, when he first appears on all the bikes, when they see what's going on at the beach, he does say they've about to become seniors.
Yeah, exactly. Which
so
must be 17 going on 18.
That makes sense. So yeah, and again, I don't know, because I don't know how sports work in schools in America, but I always had the impression that you would get that. And the way it seems to be presented there is you have loads of kids from different years all doing sport at the same time. I've
been thinking about that. Maybe it wasn't a lesson. Maybe it was tryouts.
There's some
single team.
Could be. Yeah.
That would explain a mixed group like that.
Yes, because they're doing the cheerleading practice.
Because I think Ali's meant to be like 16. I'm not sure, but I don't think she's as old as John.
But you think she's older than especially that she does look older than her.
Just a little. I think she's like 16. I think.
Yeah.
But
I don't
know.
No offense to Elizabeth Shue at the
time.
time.
This is all
speculation.
My crazy suppositions.
No, that would work. Yeah, because there's never any evidence that they have classes together or anything. The only time you ever see them is in sport, or on the sports field, or just wandering around corridors or on school grounds.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So maybe they don't share classes,
Which again is interesting, because from over here being so used to only really kind of associate with even a year. So I don't know if that's a thing again more in America where.
Well, I mean, I think they do tend to associate with their own year because it's your own age. Okay. But like the cliques tend to cross year lines and things like that.
That's true,
yeah. Like the chess club, they're going to be made up of different ages, and the cheerleaders will be made up of different ages. So I think maybe the cliques are what make those things happen.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, if I'm wrong, dear American folk, please correct me. But it feels like that's the answer.
But you'd be correcting one of your own.
Yeah, never went to high school, never even went to middle school. Came from America when I was 7. I don't exactly have lived experience.
Well, a lot more than me, of course not. We get to them going to school.
It's next morning, sunglasses, and then off to school, and then to soccer.
So again, that would play out.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same. Possibly.
Do you think both of them are wearing dark glasses in this scene?
I mean, this is the thing. This is the other thing we haven't. We touched on a little bit earlier because they are two separate genres, and how much of personality traits of the respective characters are kind of rooted in the genre of the film that they're from. So we could possibly afford to have a little bit, at times, slightly more, I want to say slapstick, but it's not quite, slightly more overt comedic moments.
Yeah, a little nice comedy.
Yeah. There's something very fundamentally spiritual about the first bit.
Oh, yes. But it still has...
It has moments,
Yeah, it makes me chuckle every time I watch it.
Yeah, So yeah, I think both of them wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, it just feels right.
Yeah. I mean, I can even see that possibly Sam will be going off to get the bus, and I'm assuming that Michael will be riding his bike.
Yeah.
So a possible a longer exchange there with Michael and Mum about keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Michael traveling on his motorcycle is one of the reasons why I think it might be possible that he would end up on it.
Nice
After all, bike enthusiasts.
Yes. Yeah.
It was one of those. Nice. Or I wish I had a bike as nice as yours or whatever.
That would work really well. So again, so we can put that even in on that first day of school.
Yeah, because you see them on their first day of school and they're all clustered around the bikes, like showing off and stuff.
So so you can even there's a scene there as well. He turns up, walks up next to them.
Yeah.
Confrontation, but then like, oh yeah. And again, obviously, and because of his size, one of them can offer an olive branch as begrudgingly as possible.
Yeah.
But it's a starting point.
Yeah.
You could even then, even though you might not need to see the classes, you can even show that they have classes together.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because Michael is near enough that age, isn't he?
The other option, if you wanted to go completely out of the water, but I think this worked well, from the deleted scenes from Lost Boys, there's the thing about him going to go and find work, more interested in finding work than going back to school.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you wanted to downplay his role overall in the film, he goes off and finds a job and plays a more passing role in the action film. So if you wanted to go the lazy way and write him out of it to a degree, that would be the way to do it. But I think that will detract from the possibilities of the story.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Is if he does join the Cobra Kai, there are certain scenes that don't play out the same way. And I don't know. I mean, obviously I haven't given it a lot of thought because I don't have an answer. But I did realise there are at least two scenes where Michael needs to be thoroughly distracted or just not there. For the scene to work, because they'd go after Sam. Michael would protect his brother.
Yeah.
So he needs to either be in some way distracted from the scene or just not there. So, and I did think of him getting a job as being one possibility for it.
Okay, let's bookmark that. We can come back to it.
Yeah, of course.
I might have just thought of a way that we can do that with the setup that we're going for. So we have added a scene with him exchanging words with Johnny and his gang about bikes.
Yeah.
We've got Sam now. I suppose the first time we've seen him is on the will now be on the playing field.
On the playing field, yeah.
Not playing keepy up me.
No, I don't feel like Sam's that kind of a show off.
No.
He's the other don't mess with my hair kind of show off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is possibly what is happening then, because
he gets tackled with somebody.
And also because the other guys,
there's something like that really messes. I know it's weird, but I'm trying to think what would make him fight back and cause the scene to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody jumping on him and nugging his hair to a mess or something. I don't know.
That would work. Yeah, that would work. Especially because he's getting a bit of a ribbing from the guys because of his poor showing at the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which again, he would be a bit. Again, I imagine him being quite gobblier with it. He's got, he does. He's pretty good with words when he needs to be.
Yeah.
But again, he's out of his element. He's just letting people. His brother's not there to back him up.
Yes. See, I was just thinking about this. I mean, because normally you'd think, well, wouldn't he be there? But actually, I don't think Michael's. I know he works out and stuff, but I don't think of him as a. He doesn't strike me as a team kind of guy. Though for somebody who wants to belong, I don't think like team sports is his thing.
Which again, so if he's doing sports at the time, he'd be in the weight room.
Yeah, that's where he'd be. Yeah. It does mean in some degrees that we'd be sidelining Michael, but overall giving him a more interesting arc.
Yes.
Because otherwise he really is just kind of there as the brother.
Yeah, which is it's not what we want. All of these characters are in this film in the same way that they're in the original movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, if we have to do a certain amount of construction, as long as it doesn't break the ethos of the film, then that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. We shall see.
Yes, absolutely. even that in itself is interesting. It gives us an interesting facet to add into the film, because it's not only about Sam's journey, his kind of journey of discovery with becoming a karate master and just growing up.
Uh-huh.
It's also adding in that element of how people and how brothers do grow apart.
Exactly.
So it's
We're
not just,
thinking about that.
yeah, it's not just he's becoming a man, he's becoming a man in his own right without having to rely on anybody else. And so they go on different paths. So it's brilliant. This is an interesting scene as well, aside from partly because of what happens in it. Because, again, in the original, Daniel has quite a massive blow up.
Yes, he really does. Yeah, storms off the field.
Yeah, which again, because of what's happening in the film for Sam now, it's such a culture shock for him that is a way that he'll go. I don't know if he'd get more emotional about it, but certainly I can see him kind of snapping at that point.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the first time really in the film where he hasn't had Big Brother there to back him up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just him being straight up picked on.
Yeah.
No two ways about it, yeah.
Exactly. So the next scene after that is the karate school scene.
I think it is the karate school.
It's pretty quick, isn't it?
It's pretty short, yeah.
That again plays out as we said earlier. I mean, it can even be.
Go on.
I was saying about having a bit earlier where the Cobra Kai's offer Michael an olive branch.
Yeah.
One of them can even say, "Oh, yeah, this is where we are. Why don't you check us out?" They find out that Lucy has got this job in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Possibly for similar reasons, or maybe it's just because certainly a more people person.
Oh yeah, very much.
So felt she's offered this job, she's going to feel more comfortable there than she would do. Similar kind of reasons to how Lucy in the original would do.
Yeah, exactly.
And just takes the job on spec. And then, says, "Oh, right, we're right over the road from where these guys are. Let's go and check it out."
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Michael who gets them to go into the pub.
Okay, right, of course. And when Sam sees who's there,
Exactly.
he slinks off.
Yeah.
And goes to meet his mom.
Yeah. And also, and because Michael has had that extra interaction with Johnny and the boys that Sam doesn't know about necessarily. Again, in the narrative, we don't have to show them him talking. We don't need the exposition of him saying, "Oh yeah, I've talked to those guys, they're fine." We just know that that's happened for him, but it's not happened for Sam.
Yeah.
So he just slinks off, and he knows there's an issue there. Could possibly even try and stop him, and he's like, "No, I'm not having any of it."
Sorry, who says what?
It's like Sam. So as soon as Sam sees that they're there,
and Johnny and the rest.
He goes to leave. Michael might say, "Give it a chance."
He'd be like, "No,
I don't want it."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, he would want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and just Michael seeing them in a slightly different light, stays.
So in the original film, of course, we were watching Danny have dinner with his mom, and in the background, because they were coming out of the dojo, realizing they're there, obviously hatching some sort of plan. I imagine in this version of the take, we would be watching Sam have dinner with his mom.
Yeah.
And in the background, they would spill out, but they'd be with Michael, maybe, and get off on their bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I see, because our next scene is them running him off the road, which is where the first time when I was thinking earlier on, Michael needs to not be there.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking they have a small scene with him going off with Johnny and the boys. But at the end of it, it'll be like, oh God, no, I've got to get to this job. I need to keep this job if I'm going to pay for lessons.
We have missed a scene, I think.
Have we?
I thought it was after this, but because of the way this runs through, it can't be.
No, you're right.
It's the scene where Mr. Miyagi comes to fix the faucet.
Yeah.
And he sees Sam.
Yeah, you're right. Where is that? That must be immediately after the football trials then.
Yeah. So it must be when Mum's because Mum's not there, she's already at the restaurant.
That's right.
So he must have gone home, done his homework or whatever, and done his training, and then gone to meet her.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So you think Mike's there for that scene? Because obviously this is Sam, not Daniel, trying to practice some karate moves. Which again, this makes sense, because with Sam not being the guy who's already done a few lessons at Hawaii, picking up a book is even more natural.
Sure. It would be a comic.
Yeah, of course it would be.
Yeah, karate comic. It would be
like Shang-Chi or something.
Shang-Chi, possibly then with some appropriate music playing in the background. So he's a bit cheated up by it all, and he's kind of swinging around. Possibly again because it's Sam, he might kick something off the table or something.
Yes.
Which is when Mr. Miyagi walks in.
Yes, that's perfect. Because Sam is not as physical as Daniel is to begin with. He's not
spatially aware as well. Yeah,
no, it's not definitely.
Yeah.
No.
You could have it that he knocks something off, and as Mr. Miyagi is walking in, and it just shows his reflexes by just catching it, like a vase or something.
Yeah, but it'd be one of those things that like we would see, but Sam probably wouldn't know.
Yes, yeah.
He'd be just like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, completely oblivious because he
Yeah.
listens to music and stuff like that. A bit embarrassed, like, oh god, you seem to be doing this.
Yeah.
Which again, it's complete switch because Dan was quite happy to carry on, whereas
Yeah, you just
Sam would be like, oh.
well, he's got that sort of New Jersey lack of shame, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's what he's got.
Which is a good thing, guys.
Yeah, but no, it's just a complete lack of shame.
Yeah.
He's very famous in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, of course, yeah, because obviously Police on the Chainsaw and Bob.
Yes, exactly. That's another great example.
Yes. No,
That's another time.
That's another one.
Another time. No.
But yeah, so that scene would work playing, so he's seen that. He's,
Oh, you've just given me a horrible thought.
okay.
I don't know how terrible this is. Clerks vs. Fight Club. Is that terrible or what?
You're going to have to come back and see if we do that.
Well, yeah. Think about that one.
Yes, I like
That was too good not to say.
Absolutely. No, that's brilliant. At least this way we won't forget it.
Yeah.
Yes, so that scene would play out again. Motivations will be slightly different. As we were just saying, Sam would be a bit more embarrassed, a bit more self-conscious.
Yeah, definitely.
as soon as somebody's watching him.
Yeah.
But it plants the seed there, which is what we do.
Yes, exactly.
So we know, so that the audience knows, and Mr. Miyagi knows that while he may not be a puritan in terms of any particular style, he is interested in self-defense.
Yeah.
Because he's seen, even if he's just flailing around wildly, he's seen at least a base level of his ability.
Yeah.
Which is so basically what that scene serves.
Are we saying that maybe like Michael is actually like out looking for a job at this point?
Yeah, again,
Because it feels like actually it should just be Mr. Miyagi and Sam.
I think this is one of those ones where we don't need to dot that high. It's
Yeah.
just not there.
He's just not there.
As you said earlier, because story.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then we can so wind back forward again to where we were. We can just say because the story, unless you want. No, you said there would be a scene between the boys.
Yeah, because you need to see him go off and actually.
Yeah, otherwise there'll be too much of it because we've seen him with him, and if he's not there, we need to be asking why.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to be a much more of a bit of a leap. Him actually joining Cobra Kai, but if you see him bonding with them over something else.
The only wrinkle with them is there is explaining away because obviously the guys from Cobra Kai see Daniel in the restaurant. And you see him in the background make a point of seeing.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Michael might be like, there's my mom, or whatever. I don't know.
Of course. Because mum might even see him come out with the other guys and say, come on, dinner's ready. And he's like, no, I'm going with these guys. And then she's like, okay. So that establishes that.
Yeah,
But
that does,
they know-
yeah, it's
yeah.
great. It doesn't even change that scene.
And again, you can add the extra layer in there because Mike and Lucy are having that kind of non-verbal conversation through the window. They're standing behind him, so he doesn't see them going, oh, look, oh, yeah, and looking at Sam and going, oh, right, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll...
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes, works. Good. So far, so good.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because, they know where Sam is going to be later on.
Yeah.
They've gone off with Mike, but like I said, if Mike then goes off to presumably this job he's found or something similar, then they go off, and that's when they run Sam through.
You could even theoretically say to have one of the other guys say, are you looking for work? Oh, well, my old man needs some people, and goes off with one of them. So if there's one less of the guys,
Yeah.
he goes up, so that's an excuse. Oh yeah, my old man is, he's always looking for labourers, he's not people who are willing to work, come around to me. So they go off,
Yeah,
and then the rest of the guys go back.
exactly. That's even better. It makes it nice and tidy.
Yeah.
Gives him more reason to side with them.
And then that scene as it plays out, and then one being on off the road, that doesn't change really.
No,
Which feeds in very well into that. And again, it's one of those things I think I've appreciated more as a grown up than I did when I was a kid, where Daniel loses it and throws the bike in the dumpster.
Yeah, just totally trashes it.
Yeah, and completely, and then all of his anxiety and his angst about the move. Excuse me.
Try tickle there.
So yeah, that's why I recommend homemade wine.
Yes, he does. He
Yes.
gives it. That's the whole. I don't want to be here. I want to go home.
And again,
I don't get it. I don't understand the rules.
exactly, and it works because there is so much going on with him there.
Yes.
First stirring from his loins,
Yes.
shall we say?
Yeah.
So you've got that. You've got this slight distance in this association with his brother, completely new state, new way of life.
Yeah.
All the problems of being bullied, all of these things that we don't know. Get the impression that he's had a pretty sweet life before leaving Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's comfortable enough in his ability to handle the situation in his hometown.
Yeah.
Whereas, as I said, the fish out water thing again, and so we see that there. That will play out. I mean, again, I imagine his mum's reaction being. I can see that scene running a bit longer.
Yes.
Because Lucy's
Lucy's more of a talker.
yeah, she doesn't want to put the foot down until the very last moment.
No, exactly. Yeah, she's very much more of the let's talk about this
Yes.
rather than
You want to get the impression that it affects her more?
Yeah.
What her boys are going through, go through.
Well, with Lucy, whatever's going on with her is obviously so much more recent. I mean, because in the original Karate Kid, they don't really ever mention Daniel's dad.
No,
So whatever happens to him, must have been quite a time in the past. They've been on their own for a while. Whereas Lucy is very much
this is
newly divorced.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the new world for them.
Yes. So she's a lot more concerned with how it's affecting them.
Yeah.
because-
So he's not just suffering from the loss of his home
Yeah.
or his friends,
Right.
but also like all of the money that came from having a stable family background
Yeah.
and all of those things. You look at the way he dresses. They obviously had a nicer life in Phoenix
Yes.
than they're obviously having in Reseda.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's California, but it's kind of meant to be the ass end of California, you know?
Exactly.
And yeah, you could see all of that just coming down on him, like you say. And I think Sam is a little more entitled than Daniel is.
Yes.
I think his freak out would be bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it is very much that kind of come back down to earth, kind of with a bump, definitely.
Oh yeah, crashing to reality. Yeah.
Yes. Which I think would be a very powerful scene.
Yeah. Well, it's a turning point for the character. And it's one of two fundamental turning points in the story.
Yeah.
Is that and of course the later scene with Mr. Miyagi.
Yes.
Finding out about him. But those are two huge growth moments for the character in terms of the story plot.
Do we want to interject Michael into that scene or not? At the very end, possibly after.
There's a certain amount of pathos that maybe might eavesdropping on the conversation. But it also complicates the situation because he might realise
what's going on.
Yeah.
Which, if you wanted to include it, that if he does arrive on the scene, Sam then makes that a focus of his anger. Makes him a focus of his anger. Because, again, as you said, the whole stuff on the playing field, it's the first time his brother wasn't there to back him up.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
And if he's that...
And that would drive some antagonism into the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, that's one of the things, because in so many ways they're so tightly knit, I was always struggling with how you might introduce some genuine antagonism in there, but that actually is a turning point. Yeah, I could see that working quite well, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we just dropped it in at the very end. Which again gives us that whole scene a different feel as well, because as hard as it is, there's, as you said, there is the pathos there. This way, that scene now ends still kind of in conflict.
Yeah,
So-
just turned away from the conflict with his mother to conflict with his brother. Yeah. But that's for the slightly new direction for the plot that we're taking.
Yes.
That works, that functions, that serves our purpose. Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's the end of that scene. Is it the scene with Miyagi when he goes with the bonsai tree?
That's when he gets home. And now I might be wrong, but I think we've got
There's another day at school.
another day at school when Sam, he's in like homeroom or something like that, and he sees Ali passing by outside, and he runs out to talk to her.
In the corridor, and that's when he sees them on the bikes.
That's the bunny.
High five. Because that scene played out the same, but Michael's with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's again, there's more layers to that scene. It's still that him avoiding the confrontation and running away and having this pseudo argument with Ali, but there's the extra layer. It's not just them, it's
It's
him, it's Michael as
yeah.
well as his brother. It's just that extra kick in the teeth for him.
Awesome. I like it. And again, then that goes from there into the bit of Mr. Miyagi.
With Mr.
So,
Miyagi and the
so again,
centuries.
it sounds really bad because I know we've kind of glossed over how he could be with Anne a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, because Sam's cocky in one way, Daniel's cocky in that kind of New Jersey way. So
Yeah.
the dialogue would be different, but I think the scenes would essentially play out in the same-ish way. He would be making different jokes and different comments, but the end result
is the same.
Yeah.
Because that's when they talk about they're going to meet up later on. Well, that's what they're supposed to be doing, then he doesn't.
Yeah, he says they're about to discuss it, and then he looks up.
backs off. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
actually, I just remembered there's a thing I got.
Yeah, because we haven't got to the bit with them on the date.
Uh,
Or with him asking for that.
Yeah, no.
Because that's the second scene on the football field, isn't it? There is a second one. Isn't there?
There was a second scene on the football
I
field.
think that's when he asked, when they asked about the date.
Yeah. Damn, it's one of those. The movie is so linear, sometimes details slip into the background, and you just forget when they're happening in the movie. When does that happen?
No, it won't have happened yet, because that must be after the,
Oh, yes, no, there is. There is another conversation. It's on the playing field, but they're not. practicing, I don't think.
Yeah, because that's after the stuff. After the stuff with the Halloween party.
Well, it's the just before Halloween, because it's are you going to Halloween? Because I have been avoiding you by the way.
That's this scene. That's this scene, isn't it? Yeah.
But no, because at the moment we're
still
ahead of ourselves again.
We are.
So we're still in the scene with Mr. Miyagi and the bonsai and his mother coming to take him away and everything like that. He's just very thoughtful, isn't he, afterwards?
So that scene with Mr. Miyagi would play out the same way as you said just now. Sam's comments would be different.
Yes.
Certainly, probably a lot more. I don't want to say sarcastic. That's the word that comes to mind.
Well, he is. He's kind of sarcastic. It's one of his things.
So that would be like that, but he still gets in and starts.
Yeah. I think it's Mr. Miyagi's manner.
Yeah.
You know,
Lucy and her mum gets on with everybody, so yeah.
Absolutely.
So again, she'd be a lot more happy.
She'd be a lot more happy because Lucy's much more of a free spirit. She'd be asking questions like, "Oh, how do you do this?"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and she'd love her son to be doing that. Yeah, it's very much more in her country.
Much happier about that. Even though, as a kid, we're not aware of that scene from the parents' point of view, which is my child has just spent 4 hours in a dark room with a strange man. It's worth pointing out from her point of view. That's, oh my God, what's happening? But Lucy is a much more free soul and much more trusting. I think she'd be a lot calmer about it and much happier. And, so maybe that bit would be a little longer. She would actually be genuinely interested.
Mm.
Oh goodness me, what is the next scene?
Because we're not far from the Halloween scene.
No, we're not. I'm thinking this is one of the montage bits. I think it's a montage.
Because what we missed was
Sam doing stuff and Ali doing stuff, and them not quite.
Because what we missed was Sam coming back and finding his bike fixed.
Yes,
and that's
that leads into the scene with the bonsai, of course. Yeah,
which again establishes that bond between them.
Yeah, because that's a big deal.
I'm pretty sure it's the lead-in to the Halloween thing, isn't it?
Well, that's what I think. I think the next bit literally is just a montage in the film.
Yeah.
Of various moments over the next couple of weeks of their approaching. I'm sure you can see Ali making Halloween decorations for the prom night or whatever, for the party or whatever it is, and stuff like that. And
I mean, the thing that we can
presumably Sam or Daniel in the background and stuff like that.
I think we can throw in here as well just a very short scene with Michael joining the club.
Well, I was going to say you could make that part of the montage. A couple of quick little scenes of him being slowly indoctrinated.
Yes.
Taking classes and meeting Grease.
Yeah.
That whole no mercy shtick.
And again, if you want to do it within that montage as well, again, it's a nice way of visually representing that moving apart of Sam and Michael.
Well, that's it. The juxtaposition between those two things really work well as a montage between, interposed to them.
Yeah.
Amongst each other. The contrast of.
But yeah, he's getting on with his life, he's getting on with his life. But when you see them in the same environment, they're very much removed, which is a stark contrast to where they are singing together or whatever in the car on the way out.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely moving apart. Yeah.
Works. So it will work.
Yeah, you have the same montage, you just got this extra sequence of scenes in it.
Yeah.
That create that juxtaposition. And it works, I still think it works as a montage.
And I was thinking, but the question is kind of resolved itself.
Yeah.
With regards to the Halloween party itself, we will go with Sam going against the shower.
Yes.
I was like, well, Michael goes, but then I suppose he'd go as a skeleton as well.
And
So would that possibly be the first time that he really I mean, I know he knows, but maybe Sam's in a degree of denial until he sees him dress up as the others.
Yeah.
Or would you see Michael not even going for that?
Well, I see. I've thought about that, and there's two versions of it. There's one where Michael's just not there, so he doesn't know about it, which kind of, in some ways, makes more sense. But there's another version where Michael is there, because in that scene there is one dude who's like, "No, he's had enough.
Yes,
let's stop it. He's had enough. He can't even stand up," and that would be Michael.
Awesome.
So there's two theoretical versions where there's one where Michael just doesn't know, so he's not morally responsible in that scene. Or he is a part of that scene because we've seen him being indoctrinated,
yes,
but he's still there going, no, that's enough. Of course, Johnny does what Johnny does in the scene, but, we know that he's not completely lost. I don't know. I really don't. I think I'm like him being in the scene.
I think the only caveat I would put to that is that when we get to the point where they beat him up, and he says, no, he's had enough, he leaves.
I was just about to say that. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yes.
He can't be there for the final bit.
Yeah. The only problem I have with even as I say that is, would he leave or would he not step up to defend him?
You see, this is the problem. This is the problem with what I'm proposing.
So, there's two ways of resolving it. We need to see something in his indoctrination that would challenge or that would block his filial loyalty, if you like.
Yes.
The only other way to do it is something else outside of the dynamic of what's happened to us they've got here, or something that's happened independently of that has brought. No, we've got it. We've already got it.
Have we?
Yes.
What?
Sam blowing up at Michael for being a party or not being there for him. If
You think
Michael,
that's powerful enough?
it depends on how it's played. If that scene is played right, that could
What, like if Sam actually gets like vicious about it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose.
that is like, all right, fuck you then. If you want to be on the you want to do the show where
Yeah.
you sort
I
out
suppose that combined with the whole no mercy diatribe.
Mm-hmm. Which also plays in as well, because the one thing that we haven't really considered or haven't kind of touched on as much is how the move has affected Michael. We've looked at Kassam as the main character because it drives the plot forward. But the fish out of water trope applies to Michael just as much to Sam.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's one of those things. It's easy to overlook because it lends itself so naturally to bending around Sam as a character.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we need to analyze earlier in the movie. Maybe that's something we need to go back and fix. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that.
It's curious because by switching them in movies, the drive for inclusion, which is such a big part of Michael's storyline in the Lost Boys, has now been placed onto Sam.
Yes.
So we've kind of forgotten. Again, it's kind of half resolving itself. This drive for inclusion is still there, and it can be represented in our new version by joining the Global Card.
Yeah, but how do we show
the difference with I suppose the thing that we forget with part of his change in attitude and his change in personality when Michael becomes a vampire is because he's become a vampire.
Mm. But that's the same thing with the Code Kai, you know.
It is, yeah. You can't. I think, yeah, exactly.
He's been affected with
yes.
that philosophy.
Yeah, so it does work. I think it's a very positive.
So maybe we don't need to fix it.
Maybe we're looking at it from the point of view as what it makes sense in the Lost Boys because he's being infected by something supernatural that will override his personality.
Yeah.
But we're forgetting that psychology is just as powerful.
Cobra Kai, Reese's Dojo.
Yeah.
Cult of personality.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Wrinkle resolved.
Okay, good. Yay, we win.
Yes.
High five.
High five. And as you say, so he leaves, no mercy. He's a man, he can do it on his own. Yeah. Cool.
Resolves itself, yeah.
And then seems Miyagi turns up and does his thing.
Yes.
So, and that ends that scene as it would end.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And yeah, the whole waking up in Mr. Miyagi's janitor's hut, whatever it is, it's never really made clear through camera work exactly where they are. I'm kind of imagining it's the janitor's office, but it
seems to sleep there as well.
I'm not sure.
Which always makes me wonder about the house. It's like, you own there, but you what? Do you only go 3 days off?
I think that's his retirement project.
Mm.
You know, he's working there, and he has an apartment as the janitor or the handyman would do. Yeah, live in an apartment on the complex, and then he's obviously saved up over the years, bought this little plot of land, and is slowly building a house, like for his retirement or something. Because it's so goddamn nice. Nobody has lived there, have they?
No.
Everything's untouched.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we've got as far as we've been up and he's in.
So we're at the scene where it's go talk to the dojo. That's what that whole conversation's about.
Yeah, so you have the thing where he agrees to train him.
Yeah.
And then they go and speak to the dojo.
No, he doesn't agree to train him. He agrees to take him to the dojo. It's only after you go to the dojo that he agrees to train him.
That scene plays out the same. Again, with an interesting dynamic because Michael will be with them.
Yes. Well, there are a couple of characters, like there's one dude when they go to the dojo who gets like distracted.
Yes.
And Chris picks on him. I can't think, could that be Michael?
Yeah.
Because it would make sense that he'd be like, oh shit, over his shoulder just at the wrong moment. We're thinking about.
It is, but it also comes back to what I didn't say earlier, about how it answers the question of where Michael is through a lot of what happens later through the training parts.
Yeah, of course, because Michael's doing his own trip.
Michael's doing his own training, but there is still stuff that happens. I mean, with the rest of the gang, but you could even throw in a few scenes because Mr. Miyagi takes Sam under his wing.
Yeah.
So because of that, Kreese takes Michael under his wing.
Of course. Oh, well, yeah, of course.
And so you can throw in a few extra scenes of just them training.
Yeah, which is nice because Kreese gets a bit more development as a character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he does in subsequent films and the series, but it would be nicer to get a bit more of him.
In the start.
Because he's just a bad man, and that's fine. That's all you need.
Yeah.
But because we need these extra scenes, we've got the opportunity to develop
Absolutely.
and the philosophy of the dojo more thoroughly, which I kind of like the idea of.
Brilliant.
You know, because you get this very cult-like impression about the whole thing. It would be kind of interesting to see like how he indoctrinates people and how he goes through that process of, how the cult of personality operates, as it were.
Yes.
It'd be interesting because in his own way, Mr. Miyagi's is kind of like a tiny little cult personality.
Absolutely.
Conflicting.
Yeah. Again,
It's got a nice little
yin and yang thing going on. Yes.
That's the bunny.
Yeah.
That's the bunny.
Which then brings us neatly up to a lot of the training support, and the next bit is the.
Well, this is the second half because the Karate Kid's moved in two halves.
Oh yeah.
And this is that turning point from fish out of water, all of that stuff, confrontation, and then they go to the dojo and it turns into the training movie and becomes about martial arts and about the philosophy and all that.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but he was looking over your shoulder.
Okay. I have nothing to add to the situation.
Yes, let's carry on with narrative because that's we can.
Yeah.
With speculative narrative because that's something that we can explain.
Yes.
So yeah, with lots of there's a few kind of montages there of them doing stuff that people do. I was thinking possibly even as part of that, certainly up until the point when Sam realises he's being trained, where the brothers can get physical. I know it's a bit difficult to go a bit distant, so it might not work, but we can see that Michael is making more obvious progress than Sam is.
Yes, we would see that.
Some blade fighting and things like that.
Yeah. The montage for Sam training would need to be juxtaposed with a similar training sequence. So we might see shorter scenes of Sam, but interposed with also short scenes of Michael.
But also in between themselves, Michael might have if he has a go at him, Sam still doesn't know how to react because he's not there and he's learning.
Yeah.
Which also adds fuel to his frustration with Mr. Miyagi.
Yes.
Because I've been doing all of this stuff, but he can still kick my ass.
Yeah, you might need some sort of scuffle to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because you would be interposing that with the whole when do I learn how to punch?
Yeah.
With scenes of Michael learning how to punch.
Yes.
It would first learn balance, and then Michael just punching the heck out of something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it'd been interesting because we'd be watching both of their progress in the second half of the movie,
which is brilliant because again, it comes back to that thing about giving both of these characters agency within the film, and that does that. It also throws up an interesting point.
So do you think Michael would come to supersede Johnny in Kreese's estimation? Or do you think he would remain an underling and really secondary to Johnny as a villain? Because I could see a relationship developing with Kreese and Michael.
I think he can see him as the next Johnny. The thing to remember, and it's something that it's not mentioned at all, it's dropped in almost as an afterthought at the end, that Johnny is already 2 times under 18 all counties champion.
I didn't know that for certain, but I had assumed, just by the way that these guys behaved, that they were used to dominating the tournament.
Yeah. It's definitely, he mentions it, certainly towards when they get to the final fight.
Yeah.
It does mention returning 2 times champion.
I just wasn't paying attention to that bit.
Yeah. He knows that he's got this money riding on Johnny. He is a
like Johnny's a safe bet.
He's a safe bet, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a tried thoroughbred, he knows what he can do. But this guy's just come in and he's doing this with very minimal training. When Johnny gets to the point where he wants to go and do other things, is Michael his next best hope before continuing the run.
One of the things, obviously, we'll get to it a bit further on, but it's one of those things because as soon as you entertain the idea that Michael joins the Cobra Kai, you have to ask, who is the final showdown? Is it really with Johnny?
Well,
starts out being
I've got an idea. I've got an idea.
Okay, go on.
But we'll come to that.
We'll come to that there.
because we have these very strange journeys going on now, from a discussion point of view, it also begs the question, who is the karate kid? Because they're both upsetting.
You know, I did briefly, the question briefly flashed across my brain, and then I realised I had no idea how to answer it, and so I pushed it to one side earlier on. But I think for this story to play out with any meaningful catharsis, Sam has to be right.
I agree, but I would also throw in as a counterpoint to that, you can answer it with the response, they both are, because it's for everyone.
That's true. I mean, yeah,
your journeys are different, which is again,
that.
which I think is quite nicely borne out. If you want to get a bit better about it, it's quite nicely borne out when you look at the events. Certainly, because I've seen season 1 of Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
which is interesting as well, because what we're doing here, what we're proposing here, is borne out narratively within the confines of this universe in Cobra Kai.
I suppose you're right. Yeah, that is
in a different way. That works in the narrative there. But it's not a dissimilar situation.
Yeah, I guess. I can see your point. Yeah, I mean, again, although an argument can be made for that, I think.
But yes,
for meaningful catharsis to occur.
Yes, and for the time when it was looking at considering that this was at the time that this was made without the forethought of everything that came after it. Yes, absolutely, Sam is.
Absolutely. Because even though we're following Michael's journey along with Sam's, Michael is not struggling in the way that Sam is struggling.
Yeah,
it's not Michael's fight.
No, it's not.
In that sense, you know, he's there, but it's not his battle. It's actually Kreese's battle.
Yeah,
that Michael might be fighting.
Even the original film, look at Lost Boys. It's Michael's problem that drives the plot. It's how Sam
deals with it. Yeah.
He is the audience.
He is the protagonist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, agreed. We also get what we were saying earlier, the second bit on the playing field, which leads to them having their date.
Yes.
Which again would all play out pretty much the same. The only difference is, rather than Ali's parents being rather dismissive of Daniel because they're working class, they're dismissive of Lucy because she's a free spirit. She's a hippie.
Yeah. And she also drives in an appropriate vehicle. It's a ute they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an estate of some sort. I don't know.
No, it's not an estate because it's got a back trailer, hasn't it? Because the bike's on it at the beginning.
Oh yes, of course it is. Yeah.
So it's got to be some sort of ute or pickup. But it's not a pickup, so it's because it's got a bigger cab.
Yes, it must be.
So,
yeah,
it must be a ute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even that is just a horribly inappropriate suburban vehicle.
Yes, to be sure.
And then her being clearly a hippie type.
Yes.
And the other men she opens her mouth, of course, that'll become ever more apparent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have the embarrassment of having to try and jump start the vehicle, but you've still got just mom's a hippie.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. The patchouli oil, right?
Yes, it's that.
Yes.
Is that some sort of oil? It's patchouli, do you like? So again, even though the characters are different and the situations are slightly different,
the situation is still
going to have a similar play out to it, I think. Yeah.
And again, the whole thing with how the date plays out, that would work the same. And at the end, with the guy in the car.
Yeah.
And things like that. Which again is something we don't see so much, but we know that Sam can drive.
That's true. That is true.
Because
after all, Mr. Miyagi's made him drive to the dojo and back.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And also, as we said,
there's the whole, I don't have a license, neither do I.
Yeah. And more importantly, as we know, burnt rubber does not mean
warp speed.
Exactly. Which again is nice. I love that lovely. There's that lovely synergy there between the classic cars.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I did think as well. For some reason, when we get to that point where he gets in the car, I don't know if you'd have taken that one.
Hang on a minute, I've just noticed something that we've kind of overlooked. That should have sorted out at the beginning.
Okay.
Is what we're talking about right now. Sam driving, Sam eventually being gifted a car.
Yeah.
He needs to be at least a year and a half older than he is. At best, Sam is 14 in Lost Boys.
But I thought we established for our purposes that he's 15, same age as.
Right, I'm not sure that we went over that at the beginning.
I thought I'm pretty sure we said at the beginning that we've established that him and Daniel are the same age. They may be months apart because obviously Daniel turns 16 in the film.
Right. No.
So remember you said he turned 16 in the film, so he must have a license.
Yes, we know that about Daniel,
Yes.
but about Sam was originally written as at best 14.
That's a change, because I know earlier when we were looking at...
Or is he 15? Is he just a very small 15? Am I just making assumptions based on the size of Corey Haim?
Well, Corey Haim, I mean, if you look at the for the time when the respective movies are set, I would say Corey Haim was bigger than
What year was Lost Boys? Was that 86 or 87?
87.
87. All right. 88, he did License to Drive, playing a 15-year-old, so 16.
So who?
Corey Haim.
I haven't seen.
Haven't you? Oh, right, yeah. There's another one that also has Corey Feldman in. They did like 3 or 4 movies together as the two Coreys.
Because what I did watch on the extras on Lost.
Yeah, and I was a sucker for that kind of crap when I was a kid, so I watched all of those movies.
That's
yeah, License to Drive's not actually, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's
okay. Because I know we said earlier we kind of accepted that they were supposed to be 15. Maybe Daniel's a few months ahead because he turned 16.
Yeah, okay.
Sam doesn't.
Yeah.
One of those things we may have to cheat again because of story.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the beach party, and then he's at school.
Yes.
Then it's Halloween.
So it could be that whereas Daniel's birthday happened over the summer holidays in the Lost Boys, in the Sam Michael Karate Kid, his birthday happens when they're back at school, which is a few months later. So
yeah,
it works.
Because, you do realise we kind of know when Daniel's birthday is.
Because they're short before Halloween.
No, it's not before Halloween. It's after Halloween. It is the day before the tournament, which, as we know from the poster, is the 19th of December.
Yes, it is.
So we know that Daniel's birthday is the 18th of December.
Yes, that's true.
Which also means, by the way, going back to what I was saying before about Daniel being kind of an ass, do you realise that he runs out going, I must be out, I've got to go, my mum's making me a secret birthday cake.
But never goes there.
And never goes there.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
Kind of an ass. Kind of an ass. We're not talking about
either way, that makes sense because it's a period of time that isn't covered in the Lost Boys, so there is no reason why Sam's birthday
couldn't be there. Yeah, there's no reason to assume otherwise.
But the other question that I was going to have about that is, would you pick the same car? I think he'd pick the car at the other end.
With the blue and white?
The blue and white one. Again, it's a nice little nod to the original film. Plus, it's a saloon as well. It's a sports car. The guy who Ali goes and speaks to is in a sporty car.
Yeah, that's true.
Which the one that he picks isn't at all. It's a lovely car, but...
That's a beautiful car, yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
But it doesn't matter anyway, because whichever one he picks, the keys are going to be in the car with the dog tag.
No, of course, yes.
Which is obviously we have overlooked that scene. I don't think we need to change it because again, it's a very powerful scene. And I think at that point in the story...
Oh, you mean Mr. Miyagi's anniversary scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at that point in the story, with what's going on and what we've established, this disassociation between Sam and Michael, in the storyline, his identification with Mr. Miyagi as a father, a paternal figure.
Yeah.
And again, coming into this very spiritual ethos of Karate on the whole, well, would not change that.
I mean, dude has kind of saved him like 3 times already.
Yeah. So at that point, I hate to use the term that it's running on rails, but it is. That scene would play out very much the same.
Yeah, it would. I think it would have more of a profound impact on Sam than it does on Daniel, because Sam is so sarcastic and cynical.
Yes, and also again,
he's got further to come to that level of understanding, and I think for him it'll be a bit more of an emotional, whereas Daniel's like, he takes it in, but he learns something.
Yes.
But I think he would have a visible reaction from Sam.
Absolutely.
A very visible reaction to realise, coming to understand the man he's dealing with.
Yes.
Which is one of those things, because it's interesting, because watching it now as an adult, as compared to when I was a kid, the context of that scene, I missed most of it. Because it wasn't just that his wife and child died in childbirth, but that they were in a detention camp in the Second World War for the Japanese, whilst he himself was fighting for the Americans.
Yes.
Oh my God!
I know.
It's amazing he's not a supervillain somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? But I never realised that as a kid. I realised, it was terrible that his wife and child had died, but I didn't know about the Japanese internment camps when I was a kid. So that just whooshed straight over my head. Wow, it's harsh, that scene.
Yes.
And yeah, I can see it having a much more profound effect on Sam.
Definitely. And again, it plays into that thing again, that the fact that losing his father figure is so recent for him.
Yes, because of course the divorce is very new for
Yeah.
Sam. He's not used to
Yeah.
single mother.
They seem to, again, in The Lost Boys, they seem to take it very accepting of it.
Yeah, they're doing their best. They're taking it on the chin.
Yes.
They're keeping the old stiff upper lip, as it were.
Yeah. The narrative of Lost Boys, of Karate Kid, allows them to play that up a bit more.
Yes. Yeah, that alienation of everything that comes from that. Yeah.
Obviously, I think the one thing that we skipped over, but again, it's fine. It's a small thing, but it's an important one, is when he has to go with the chopsticks. We'd get, I think, a bit more lip from Sam for that.
Oh, yes. No, he would be cocky as hell.
Yes.
In fact, the scene when he finally teaches him to punch and Daniel gets all carried away and Mr. Miyagi just knocks him to the ground and gives him all throat chop. I imagine something similar might occur. He might push it too far. Mr. Miyagi would be like, "Do I have to show you who I am?
Yes.
Do I have to?"
And again, you can throw that in there as
I do think there would be more comedy with Sam.
Oh, yeah, there would be, and I think you'd see a lot more stuff with him, like trying to pull Shang-Chi poses.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Which again, you can do as a visual kind of nod to comic book fans. Which, if you want to go so far as to looking at,
oh God, yeah, no, he's totally pulling a Shang-Chi or an Iron Fist and pulling all that. And Mr. Miyagi would be like,
it doesn't work like that. Exactly, but that's brilliant because it's one of those things. If we're also looking at how these films, how the legacy of them are remembered, it adds an extra kudos to it.
Yeah, there would be more playfulness.
Yes, there's more playfulness, and there's more kind of in-jokes for comic book fans.
Yeah. Because again, I know that Daniel is quite an irreverent young man.
Another one to
I know that Daniel's quite an irreverent young man. He again, there's a difference between that New Jersey boisterousness,
yes,
and the fake Schadenfreude that you get from young Sam as he arrives on the scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's more invested in his image than Daniel is.
Yes.
There'd be more showing off and consequent comedy.
Yes.
I think there would
which
be
is brilliant, which is kind of interesting as well, because it's almost like you can see him striking almost manga type kind of poses before manga was a thing within
exactly.
general pop culture. So yeah, awesome. So that all plays out fine, and again the date plays out the same. Again, they may not quite do the same things, but I'm thinking, do we need to see? So when they have
stop for a second. I want to ask: do you really think that Sam would be as jealous of Johnny as Dan is? Because I kind of feel like Sam's just a little too cool for that.
Yes. Because Johnny, in a lot of what he does, I was thinking about this before, Johnny in a lot of stuff, especially when he first appears on the scene, he comes out as quite mature.
Oh, he's
for
immature
his
as
age.
heck. Yeah.
For his age, or the age we're going for.
But it's all about the show. Because he's riding with his dudes, he's passing out party beers, riding a bike on a beach at night. He's trying so hard. That dude is thirsty for the attention.
Which is interesting, because that does add a different dynamic to it, because it adds fuel to Johnny's disdain for Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's doing all of this, he can do all of this, and he knows he can do all this, and he's good at it, but there's still this going, fuck.
Just not impressed. Yeah, it would drive him a little nuts.
Yes.
But, as I say, by the same token, I do not think that Sam would admit, or he might be as jealous, but I don't think he would acknowledge the jealousy in such an obvious fashion as Danny does.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. What I was thinking was, with the date, so you have the moment with the guy, the sports car, and he leaves, and then all the other guys turn up going, heading to drive out. Is Michael in the car with? I'm assuming yes.
Yes. Because that's then love your car, Mrs. LaRusso.
Yeah.
Moment. That look on her face is going to be like doubly so when it comes from a car where her son is in.
Yes.
That'd be like.
Yes, because that's the thing. That's the one thing that we do lose within this storyline is
that antagonism.
But also, Lucy doesn't have as much of as big a role to play.
She doesn't. But it's unfortunate. It's the necessity of the plot. Yeah. There's a little bit less of the family orientation in Karate Kid than there is in The Lost Boys. It's just the plot does not have. You could, but we've already added extra scenes to a 2 hour and 6 minute long film.
Yeah.
So we've already probably made it like 2.5 hours long. If we want to give Lucy her due, we're going to be talking about a 3-hour plus movie.
Which we can't do.
And this isn't the Avengers.
No,
I
it's not.
don't think we can pull that shit off.
No.
So something has to go, and I'm afraid part of it will be Lucy.
Yeah. But that's fine because we know that the situations or the opportunities that are offered to her within the film are consistent with her character, even though the motivation might be slightly different.
Yeah.
And are borne out by what happened in the original film.
Yes, yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah. If you want to, because it always seemed very...
Just so to cover the end of the date.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't think Sam would admit to being as jealous of
No,
Johnny
he's not.
as Daniel does. But I think he would still end up starting an argument, probably by making some unnecessarily snarky comment about her relationship to John.
Well, I was thinking that he ends up taking it out on Andy, nothing, partly to do with Johnny, but more for the fact that Michael's there. So he's redirected his rage.
Just transference.
Yes, and that's how that plays out.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah. Anyway, we've got to see.
We do. And then that's when the main montage is, isn't it? With
That's when the training starts.
yes, probably
Yes.
yes, because it's the stuff with wax on, wax off, and then it goes on from there.
Backs off.
Yes,
Off, right off.
Get over here!
yes.
You know, there'd be these juxtaposed scenes.
It'd be too much to have like a rope come out of his arm and drag it towards it, but yes,
Yeah.
that's too much.
Too much Mortal Kombat.
A bit too much, just a little. Although I must admit that around, well, certainly it's not long after that, I've been playing more Street Fighter. But
Yeah, that was definitely Street Fighter.
oh, yeah, that was Street Fighter.
Okay, woo, tangent.
Tangent warning. And that one plays out, and that works perfectly. Because again, as we said earlier, it is that cinematic kind of yin and yang.
Yeah, you might shorten some of the scenes with Sam just a little bit to allow you the time.
Unintentional. I don't know why. That was just a weird noise in the back of my throat. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for informing me.
I wish I hadn't now.
But you would possibly shorten some of the scenes with Sam training with Mr. A just a little bit to allow
To allow the stuff with
narrative space, because otherwise the training would go on for like another hour. If you covered both of the brothers, like in the same length of scenes that Sam would get based on the original plot.
I want to say no, it's too late in the day. I think we stick away from that. I was going to say
What's too late in the day?
well, it's too late.
Aren't we in the Imaginarium now? Is there no
No.
time here?
What a lovely word, thank you. The only thing I was going to say was because we're adding these training things in with Michael and Chris,
Mhm.
so you've got another point of conflict there between Johnny and Michael.
Yes. Well, this comes back to what I was saying. Does Michael supersede Johnny, increase his estimation during this montage? And
Yeah,
it certainly
so
adds some interesting drama,
it does.
which can't hurt.
As long as it's, and I'm sure the way they would have shot it at the time, as long as it doesn't supersede focus of
No, of course not. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean that again, it comes back to
which is also brilliant.
Sorry.
Actually, no, it does work.
Yeah.
Johnny, at that point, considering his position within Cobra Kai, would be torn between the fact that he knows that, okay, this guy may be trying to step into my shoes, but he knows that he's at a different point in his journey. So it adds fuel to Johnny's disdain for them as a family unit. He can't do anything with Michael,
Yeah. Okay.
but he can get back at him by laying it on thicker with Sam.
Mm.
I know we're at a point in the film where it's not possible to do that because they're not going to.
I'm just going to ask you, what does that actually achieve?
It gives more motivation to Johnny, to motivation that Johnny already has to be the antagonist to Sam.
Okay. Right. So this comes to the question I was asking earlier on, because we kind of do need to decide this now, because the next few scenes would be shaped by the final point.
Yeah.
Is the final fight against Johnny, or is the final fight against Michael?
I still think the final fight is against Johnny.
So he'll still be the ultimate villain.
Yes.
All right, and this is where he's driven to be the ultimate villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that plays out.
Yeah. It's a way of channeling Johnny's anger. It's not just about the fact that he's taking this girl. I can't get at your brother because actually he's bigger than me and he's actually getting better.
Also, my sensei says no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I can't take it
Because
out
you
on
know
you.
everybody in that dojo is terrified of Kreese.
Yes.
You know that. That's
Yeah.
one of the first things that you see the first time you see it.
Exactly.
It's just no mercy, nothing. I will fuck you up. I will ruin your life if you do not listen to me.
Yeah, exactly. So that works. And his beeline for venting all of that rage that he's feeling, all of this different stimulus, is, well, I can go ahead because I know I can beat him. And if I beat him, it's going to upset her. It's going to upset his brother, but I can't let go of him.
Yeah.
So I can rain on him as much as I like, and that's my focus.
But this is, I'm sorry, perhaps we need to clarify here. What do you mean rain on him? Because we've got the agreement, which means he's not allowed to touch Sam, is he?
He's not allowed to touch Sam, but he knows when he gets to the tournament, he can go.
Oh, right. So you're just talking about scenes where we realise that he is like, no, I am going to destroy this kid.
I'm going to destroy this kid. Yeah.
Okay, right. That makes more sense. I thought we were talking about adding more scenes with him going after Sam.
No.
My bad. I wasn't.
It's implicit there in the same way that the scene with the history professor wants to do something but he can't.
Yeah.
And obviously Daniel gives him more fuel to hate him.
Which, by the way, is a totally scene that has to stay the same way. Just because of Sam's added
his sass,
his schadenfreude, whatever you want to call it. Just he would really mug up to them.
Yeah.
He'd feel like he'd have his arm around the professor. Like, if you could just explain it to us, fellas. And then they'd disappear, and it'd be the look on his face. You realise he's just stuck himself in this history guy for the next. Oh yeah, just lovely. There would be just the comedy. I think would be sweeter with Sam.
Yeah.
I know,
absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with Daniel Russo. There's nothing wrong with Ralph Macchio, but with Sam as a character, the comedy would be heightened when it does occur.
Definitely. Which then brings us into his birthday.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Which would have to happen again. It's
kind of a necessary scene.
Yeah.
It cements certain things.
As we said earlier, as well.
As you said, the dog tags.
Yeah.
Calls back needs to be there because it's the most tacit admission of the father-son relationship in the entire film. Is that just that bit when he looks at the dog tags?
Yeah.
And you know that he knows what that means, and he knows
that he knows what that
means.
Yes.
And just that little, it's such a beautiful unspoken moment.
It is. As a counterpoint to that, because as we said, we know that this is the night for the tournament.
Yes.
Again, just as a way of having Mike or someone else, you can see what happens there between him and Chris, giving him the pep talk that he needs to go to the tournament. Because it's Michael's birthday as well.
I can imagine that you'd have a scene of Sam going out on his birthday, you missed me, I can give the car, going out and talking to Ali and all of that stuff. And at the same time, there would be scenes of Michael just being stuck in the dojo at night, training, because you cannot fail tomorrow.
Exactly.
There will be no mercy, And again, a juxtaposition of the two situations. Maybe by this point, Michael might start to become a little bit desperate and concerned. Because we do need a turn. And one of the things I've always been incredibly uncomfortable about with the original version of the Karate Kid is the way that Johnny turns right at the end and just hands him the truth and goes, "You're all right, kid."
Yeah.
Like, just snap, turn around of entire personality. That does not scan.
It does.
But it does scan if it's Michael.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. See, it's interesting because I know we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves, but it seems within the context of this discussion.
I mean, to be honest, in this story we're creating a much more bitter and driven Johnny. So he is not going to forgive Sam at the end of that tournament. It's not going to happen.
Which is why we're almost there. We'll come to it. In a second.
We're edging there.
Yeah, we're edging there. Yeah.
It's that point where what we decide about the end.
Which is why for how I picture it.
Yeah.
There needs to be a moment where Michael sees Sam with Ali, with the car. You know that bit where he gets her to drive? So maybe that's him. Maybe they drive past the dojo just as he's getting out at the end of the night. Yeah, and he sees them, and there's just a moment in his head. And it will make sense in a moment.
I'm following you.
So then we go into the tournament itself.
Yeah.
Those scenes can play out the same. The comedy there is pretty generic with getting the belts and all those kind of
things.
Of
course,
and the stuff in the locker room, that's all the same. That's fine. The actual montage of the tournament itself will play out a bit longer because you'll see the journey of both of them through the thing. So you've then got bit of a three-way there because you've got Michael watching, or you've got Sam watching what Johnny's doing, Johnny's watching what Sam's doing. They're both watching what Michael's doing.
Yeah.
And this gets us back to the point in my head since the beginning.
Okay.
It should be Michael who sweeps the vote. He should take the
No,
role.
I was going the same way myself.
Which works even better. I'm 90% sure that it's Bobby Brown who says he's had enough.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant. Yeah, I've done the same thought.
Because that allows, however brief, there's that brief redemption.
Yes.
Because, because even Bobby Brown, even later on, he's like, kill him, Johnny. But in that moment, that is just wrong.
Which was always, that was the bit that, the stuff with Johnny when he hands him the trophy, I understood. He's been defeated, he understands he's been defeated, and he displays honour in defeat.
Yeah.
That's why he does it. And I respected that. Even as a kid, I respected that. He understands he's been beaten by the better man, and he accepts his defeat. That's what I think Michael should be that one. What Chris gives the thing. It's the...
It would be the ultimate test for Chris of his
loyalty, yes.
Because, it's
absolutely.
Because Bobby looks at him and he goes, do you have a problem with that? Now, imagine that within the context of the master.
Yes.
So, the student master
sense
of Michael.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level to that whole sequence.
Absolutely. Who means more to you? This dojo or your family?
Yeah. Do you have a problem?
And also from Michael's point of view, because Michael knows, because he's in with Cobra Kai, he knows how much Johnny hates him and what will potentially happen to Sam if he gets in the ring with him. Does Sam see it also? So does Michael also see it as, I'm protecting my brother because I'm saving him from something worse. If I take him out now...
What's it she's saying? That's an interesting viewpoint. I'm not sure how you would convey that within the screen. I can see it being a motivation. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could buy some of that. I'd buy that for $1 at least.
We'll come to that one at some point. I'm sure we will.
Got it.
All of the elements are there, they work. There are so many different levels that you can include in that. So we take out Bobby Brown, I'm totally sorry, but Michael fills that role.
Yes.
In a bigger sense.
Bobby's still there and he still gets to say the things he does.
Absolutely, yeah.
And be that guy.
Which I think makes him more comfortable for that character.
Yeah.
Because there's not this weird kind of switch, which...
There are a couple of uncomfortable... I think there may have been some changes to the ending.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we know these days it's very commonplace to have reshoots, but I think...
Yes, but that's
just been a common thing throughout most of your films, and I think there might have been a couple of alternative scenes or shots to that, which is why some of the characters have these weird flip-flops of personality.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm just making a guess.
Possibly, it could even be something as simple as a financing thing.
Yeah.
Well, if we have to do that, then we have to pay somebody else to be that part of it. We'll just do it.
But yeah,
but yes. From
it solves all of those problems.
Yes, and it makes that whole scene, it makes it more cohesive.
Yeah.
And that smelting pot of emotion. But also as well, it's downplayed in the original Karate Kid, but it's a point where you can add that extra level as well. It's how Lucy, because we know she's in the audience.
Well, she's there when he gets injured.
Yeah.
She goes, I was watching it. If you pay attention, there's a scene in the middle of the montage of the early fights when she sidles on and one of the officials goes, yes, she does. But there's also random stuff where you just hear it off camera. There's a couple of bits, I think even before that, where you just hear it off camera going, the audience or whatever. Oh, right, yeah. But she actually tries to wander into the ring, doesn't she? Or not into the ring, but into the...
Yes, that whole scene with... After that, when with the whole
yes.
There's a point there where you could almost introduce a moment of conflict because Michael would have wanted to be in the locker room at the time, and how Lucy reacts to him being there, having just watched him do this.
I know.
Are you thinking about it? Are you thinking it's too late to add that in as a thing because it breaks?
No, I don't think it. No, because that feels like that's the perfect moment for Michael to break. He would. I've done this terrible thing. And it doesn't matter that I muttered whatever I said at the ringside, he'd still want to follow him in. But you're right, maybe Lucy wouldn't let him in. But there's that cage area, and then there's a corridor outside of it.
Yeah.
And I imagine he'd be out, so he'd be looking through because she said get out, and he'd have to get out, but there's still that cage bit, so he'd be watching. Because I think the power of that moment, of him not just that conversation with Mr. Miyagi, but what he does,
Yes.
and knowing this dude,
This is the
dude
guy.
knows this is the real deal.
This is the guy I should have come to.
Yeah.
Because also that works in as well, because he will also be conflicted because he's been disqualified.
Yes, and also because the film does not allow you time after the victory to explore how those moments play out.
Yeah.
You needed to play out then,
Absolutely.
because otherwise we'd have to add extra scenes to the end of the movie.
Which we don't want to do.
No, we do not.
But also that works as well because he's got his conflicting emotions about what he's just done to his brother.
Yeah.
He knows for a fact that he's out with the other guy.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine what Crease's reaction would be.
Well,
to
because
his...
he'd see that, his reaction when he did it and everything.
Well,
like that.
actually, no. Sorry, I was thinking it wouldn't be Crease's disdain. It would be Crease's appreciation for what he's just done.
Yeah, his lack of concern.
Yes, he's proved his loyalty to Cobra Kai. And it's that moment when Michael realizes, I've just sold out my family for this arsehole. Not to the actor, to the character, because the character is an arsehole.
Yes, of course. No.
So it all works.
Yes,
Narratively, it works.
It wouldn't be the middle finger moment, but it would be the middle finger moment, figuratively speaking. The moment when you go, no, I am done with you. That Kreese has no concern.
Yeah, but it also is. It is the end of Michael's journey within the context of the film. That is his cathartic moment where he turned around and said, "Actually,
Well, think about it. This dude's been grooming him for this big fight.
Yeah.
And then what does he do when the moment comes? He uses him.
I like the fact that. So having worked in children's services, I like the fact that you. I have to take
with
you somewhere strange.
Your filthy minds. Yeah, he's been grooming him to be the next replacement, the next big thing. And yet when his moment comes in the tournament, what does he use him for? Take out the competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to be disqualified. I'm going to lose all relationship with my family.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my status in the tournament.
I'm
going to lose everything that
Yes.
you've been promising me.
Yes,
So you can have that moment of satisfaction that I can see in your face that disgusts me right now.
exactly.
It would be the moment, that's the moment when you turn away from somebody.
Yeah.
I'm done with you.
And the
Which still leaves the way clear for Johnny to have the final.
exactly. And
Right.
also, as much as he feels that, it doesn't take away from the fact that he still did it. Still,
He did do it, yeah. Again, he spent the last 2 months training with Kreese in the same way that
so yes,
Sides
it's that
been training.
indoctrination thing. Yeah,
He, like all of Kreese's other students, will be terrified of him.
Mhm.
During this montage, we will have seen multiple occasions where Kreese refused to show any kind of mercy when Michael failed in his gambits.
Yeah. Which is nice
He would
because
know that there is no mercy. We'd have to establish that beforehand.
absolutely, but it is nice what we're saying with the stuff with showing him training one-on-one with Crease.
Yes.
We see how good Crease is.
Yes.
Because
And
again-
how
And
vicious.
again, it's even more disturbing because Crease is a big guy.
Mhm.
Michael is a big guy.
Yes.
And yet he still takes him out because of his technique.
But it's conceivable that Kreese is physically bulkier than Michael. I know Michael has his weights and everything when he wakes up.
You
He's
also-
got pretty big biceps. But Kreese's entire...
Yes, even though Michael has the benefit of youth on his side and that youthful energy,
Yeah.
Crease
He's better trained and just hardened.
yes,
He's also ex-military and his
Yeah,
stuff, so
exactly.
you know he's hardened.
and that's brilliant because it then adds more to the setup. So we've seen that
Yes.
story arc resolved between him and Michael.
Yes, we as the audience should know that moment when he goes to take out the leg
Yeah,
and he looks at him, do you have a problem? We should, as the
What's
audience,
that?
should know absolutely that that is a threat. It's not a question, it's a threat.
the point I was making about Michael seeing that as a way of protecting Sam, because that's how he tries to justify the action to himself.
Of course he does. Yes, of course he does.
Yeah.
I'm doing this so that if I don't, Kreese is going to have Johnny destroy him, and I know
Yes.
Johnny wants to destroy him.
Yeah. So I think then for the final fight,
Mm.
at that point, as you say, you've still got Bobby around the background doing it, yeah, which is brilliant because it's consistent with the character that we've seen.
Jack Brown is like, he's always like bulgy veins, red in the face. He is there to be angry and bitchy at people.
Yeah.
He's got that look about him. He's
got
just
that
like a
kind-
dude
yeah.
that's always looking for a fight.
Yeah. And that so he can still play that role, but certainly I think in the final, as they build up to the final fight, when Sam comes back out,
Yeah.
we should see Michael very much in his camp with his support.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Oh yeah, we should make it absolutely clear by that point, yeah.
And then the fight plays out the same as it does in the original film. I still don't have any problem with Johnny handling it. Are you going to say you think Michael?
Hang on a minute, that's quite a question. I initially would have made that argument when I came into this situation. Before we started talking about this, I would have said yes, Michael should, because I know you made an argument for Johnny being an honourable,
Yes.
but in the original version of the movie that we see, there's nothing about Johnny that shows the slightest ounce of honour. He's petty, and jealous, and immature. The idea that he would, in just that moment, go from starting the fight, I'm going to destroy you, to well done, mate. There's nothing about his behaviour. However, with the turnabout that you would get from Michael's journey, it would make sense for him to take the trophy to his brother as an act of contrition, rejoining his family.
So you're saying that he should take the trophy from Johnny? Yeah. No,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
like it. And again, if you want to get meta about it, it does add impetus to
Everything that goes on afterwards.
Everything goes
and
afterwards.
if you wish to care about the other movies and
Yes.
Cobra Kai and all that stuff,
Yeah.
then it would still follow naturally.
Yeah.
Not that we are taking this into account.
the
It
original
would still
film.
fit. Yeah, it would still.
Yeah.
You still
I
have
like
similar
it.
motivations.
Yeah.
I also especially think that because you took the time to describe how we'd have those scenes with Johnny becoming distant and more bitter
Yes.
and angry towards Sam, that makes it increasingly less likely that he would have any sense of honour or any desire to reconcile.
To reconcile, yeah. Even more so.
And also it would be symbolically cathartic.
Even more so because Johnny has seen the way that Michael has failed in the eyes of Chris, and it's his chance to step back into the
So
shoes that he used to.
Yeah.
fill.
What was the threat to his crown is no longer the threat to his
Exactly.
crown. So
Yes, the safest place is on the right hand side of the level.
indeed.
So that works.
I think it does work. I was really worried when we started that we weren't going to find a neat way to finish this. I really was so worried that it's like,
Which does kind of neatly bring me on to Motorsport Professional War.
of course.
Considering everything that we've discussed today, if the gods of the movies,
Wrong way they right.
yes, may they get well,
Yes, please do better.
if they turned around to you and said, okay, which one would you be more willing to pay money?
Pay money.
Pay money for entry fee to the cinema and obviously popcorn and drinks.
Uh,
Go and see. If you could have one of them made, which one would you want to see?
that's a tough one. Ironically, when we started, I would have said Lost Boys. But I've done this little experiment and created alternative versions. I think the better movie might be The Karate Kid. It certainly enriched the plot.
Again, with careful consideration, I'd have to agree. I would rather see Sam and Michael in the Karate
We
Kid.
spent quite a lot of time streamlining and simplifying the plot of The Lost Boys, and it would work as a movie.
Mhm.
Would it be better than the one that exists? No, it would not. This version of The Karate Kid, I would pay to see.
Absolutely. I think it's more rewarding as an emotional journey.
There'd be more catharsis, definitely.
Because I think with books, they said there are certain books that you should read at certain points in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I think more so this film is a movie that you could go and see at 15 and get as much out of it as you can see as when you're 17 or 18, when you are the respective ages of the characters of your respective protagonists. You will see it from a different point of view, and I think you would get more out of it at any age than you would do with the other version of the book.
Yes.
It has
I
more
agree.
longevity.
Which is, ironically enough, that does actually carry a lot of weight with me, because Karate Kid's always held a lot of space in my heart. It came out in
84.
84 it was, which is when I was 11, and when I was studying Taekwondo to try and deal with bullying problems at school.
Fascinating, I didn't know that.
So I seriously identified with Daniel LaRusso, seriously. And it's always had a special place in my heart because of that since then.
As I'm sure I've probably mentioned it before, it always had a special place in my heart because a few years later I went out with several people who liked me because of it.
Like a young Ralph Macchio.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think the more interesting movie out of the two that we have maybe created
Mhm.
is The Karate Kid.
Fair enough.
It's a little bit longer, but I think it's an interesting movie, and I think, more interesting for it.
Absolutely.
I don't think we take anything away from the original version.
No, not at all. Not at all. Again, we've created a new storyline with the same format, and it works as well. It has levels, and levels are great.
Levels are...
And there are so many emotional levels on that.
There are a lot.
And we've managed to find a way of interposing main characters into roles that pre-exist within the original narrative.
Yeah.
And make them work. And they feel less shoed in as they do in the original.
Yes.
In particular, the character of Bobby Brown. He's there. He's like a proto character. He should have been something bigger.
He's doing. He's for things. He's against things. He's kind of ambivalent. I don't know. He's just there in the background.
And this way, it just takes all of that and smooths out all those kinks by saying, "Well, that's Michael," which I think is what it's brilliant. So we have a movie.
We do.
We have two, but we have one that we would definitely like. We would both unanimously like to see.
So I guess Karate Kid wins.
Karate Kid, yes. The Lost Karate Kid.
Yes, the Lost Karate Kid wins.
I think we should final toast to that.
Little final toast.
Yes. And I guess at some point we will see if you decide to call out or another one.
It happened. I must make promises.
Can I? Yeah, that's just that's freaked me out. I'm going to have to get what's it called? The child stairgate for my brother.
Oh, I see obstacles.
Yeah.
Fine, your exercise.
And I'm guessing that's where we will leave it.
Indeed. So thanks for listening to us burble.
Yes. And if you do like what we're doing here, then please do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing.
Helps us. It really
Yes.
does.
Or alternatively, subscribe. Is that what?
Oh, Elisha Scribe. Yeah, that's a good one.
Although that does also sound like a fruit.
It does make my mouth water.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm.
I'm not sure what that would look like. It might look like. Have you ever seen? There was a thing I saw on. I can't remember what it was. Some horticultural program that I was watching for some reason.
Okay.
And there was this guy who completely by accident managed to cross-pollinate tomatoes with strawberry. It was the most fascinating thing ever. It was a green
What do you
tomato.
even call them? Tomatoes?
I don't know. Strawberries.
Strawberries. I think strawberries works better.
But they were fantastic. You see, there were a green tomato, which he cut open, and inside the tomato was completely empty like a pepper, but with a perfectly formed green strawberry in the middle.
Very bizarre.
And it's like, would you eat it? Would you try it?
I'm a culinary curious person. I think I probably would try.
You put
I
them in
think I would.
I fry them, put them in a salad. What do you do with them? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Would you like a strawberry toast with cream?
Oh God, no.
And that feels like the point where we want to leave it.
I think so.
Ba 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 ba. And there you have it. Hopefully that was a little bit more digestible than the 2-hour opus that was the original version of this. There may be a bit of a wait for the next episode of the podcast, as we are about to go into filming for the new season of Maybe Movies, so I don't envisage getting the time to do any more of these until our next break, which will be in January 2024. Obviously, if you do like these, then please do let us know in the comments below, and do support the channel with all the usual liking, sharing, subscribing. If you're watching our videos, then please do watch until the end, because those sweet, sweet public watch hours do help us get closer to getting monetized, at which point then I can start thinking a bit more about outsourcing some of this stuff to other editors who have a lot more experience than I do. But again, as always, thank you for listening. We will be back with the new Maybe Movies, which should be coming your way on Friday the 4th of August. And until then, look after yourselves and each other.